There was a time she believed love could fix anything. She believed in holding on, even when her fingers were bleeding, even when her heart was shaking. She believed in him more than she believed in herself. He wasn't a storms warn you. He was a slow burn, a quiet ache that she mistook for warmth. A gradual dimming of her light she didn't notice until she was sitting in the dark. In the beginning, he made her feel chosen. He would look at her like she was the only person in the room, his eyes tracing her face as if memorizing a masterpiece. He called her beautiful, not just in passing, but with a reverence that made her believe it. He held her close, a firm and steady presence that promised safety, promised forever. And she soaked it all in, believing that forever was a place they would build together, brick by brick. But slowly, so slowly, she almost missed it. Forever started feeling like a cage. The promises became hollow echoes in empty rooms. The attention she once basked in was now a privilege she had to earn. He stopped listening, really listening. Her stories, her dreams, her fears, they became background noise to the scroll of his phone or the flicker of the TV screen. He stopped noticing the little things: a new haircut, the dress she wore just for him, the sadness hiding behind her smile. He stopped caring. The man who once moved mountains for her now couldn't be bothered to cross the room. And she started shrinking. It wasn't a conscious decision. It was a slow, painful erosion of her spirit. She stopped smiling the way she used to, that big, uninhibited laugh that could light up a room. It was replaced by a small, tight-lipped curve of her mouth, a polite gesture that reached nowhere near her eyes. She stopped talking as much, her vibrant stories and opinions fading into monosyllabic replies. Why share her world when he was no longer interested in visiting? She stopped expecting anything from him because expecting from him slowly turned into disappointing herself. Every hope was a setup for a fall. He would hurt her with little things, the forgotten messages that left her waiting, the broken promises that chipped away at her trust, the careless words that landed like knives. It was just a joke, he'd say, or you're taking it too seriously. But the cuts were real, and they were deep. And every time she gathered the courage to speak, to voice her pain, he had a defense ready. He called her dramatic, too emotional, too sensitive. He twisted her hurt into a flaw, making her feel like the problem was her reaction, not his action. So, she learned silence. A profound, suffocating silence that protected her from his judgment, but also killed her from the inside, a little more each day. It was a self-imposed prison built from the bricks of his indifference. One night, as she stood by the window looking out at nothing, he said, "You're not the same girl anymore." And in that moment, a strange clarity washed over her. It was the first true thing he had said in months. She wasn't the same. The girl he met was full of light and laughter and trust. The woman standing before him was a ghost of that girl, hollowed out by his neglect. He broke her. Piece by piece, softly, slowly, beautifully. It was a masterpiece of destruction. He broke her trust with his lies, her dreams with his apathy, her voice with his gaslighting. And in the process, he accidentally created a version of her he could no longer control. The quiet woman he had crafted was not weak. She was observing, learning, and planning her escape. She finally walked away. There was no screaming match, no dramatic exit. It was a quiet departure, born not out of anger, but out of a profound awakening. She left behind the girl who begged for love in whispers, the one who would accept scraps of affection and call it a feast. She stepped into the woman who demanded respect in her silence. The world thought she was fragile, certainly thought she would come back. He was used to her returning, used to her forgiving. But he had fundamentally misunderstood the change in her. She had learned the most important truth of all: being broken wasn't the end, it was the beginning. She started to rebuild herself from the pieces he never deserved. It was a slow, deliberate process. She learned to love her scars, the ones he left and the ones she healed on her own. Each scar was a lesson, a reminder of her own strength. She reconnected with friends he had isolated her from, rediscovered hobbies he had dismissed, and found her voice again, speaking her truth without fear of being called too much. She started smiling again, that real, genuine smile that lit up her own world first. Months later he returned. He stood on her doorstep with regret in his eyes, a look she had once longed for. "You're different now," he said, his voice laced with a mixture of awe and loss. Stronger. She smiled a smile that held no pain, no bitterness, only a deep, settled peace. "Hey, you broke me beautifully," she whispered, the words not an accusation, but a statement of fact. "And I finally became someone I should have been all along." He reached for her hand, a familiar gesture that once meant comfort. She let her hand rest at her side. He had taught her how to live without him. She had learned that lesson well. She turned and walked away, not broken, not fragile, but reborn. Sometimes heartbreak isn't a tragedy. Sometimes it's the universe's way of removing the wrong person from your life, creating the space you need to meet the person you were always meant to become, yourself. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more.